Hi to all you survivors out there. It's me, Prepper Zan, back again today. I get my days confused, you guys. I'm sorry, I don't even know what the day is. I'm so embarrassed, but it's okay. I'm here. Yesterday was a big, long day for me, and I'm gonna start off this video. I took some notes. First of all, I'd like to say this video is about Um, you cannot trust your local leaders. You cannot trust the politicians. You can't trust the news, or sometimes the meteorologists on your local stations. And we love our meteorologists, so I don't want to say that to offend anybody. I'm just saying, like in times of crisis and in times of disasters, sometimes they don't tell you that it's going to be a crisis or a disaster. Sometimes they do, but they might not tell you in a time where you can have, enough time to prepare you and your family or get you guys out of a bad area. Um, but before I go into that, I just want to do a little quick follow-up in regards to what occurred on yesterday. I just want to encourage, and I'm not trying to take this from anyone, but especially you women. And a lot of my prepping perspectives are not only from surviving horrible hurricanes that took out a lot of people and tornadoes and life experiences, being that been on my own since I was 13, um, and being on the streets and being a single mother and having to take care of a sick mother and all these different things that a lot of us go through. I like to encourage women, because I am a woman, stay strong. We go through so much. All of us, as well as men, go through a lot. But I'm speaking on a woman's perspective today. There's somebody out there, it might be quite a few of you, I feel it in my spirit, that's going through so much. You're worried about your children. You're worried about you. You're worried about your future. Some of you have sick loved ones in your family. Some of you are alone. I would like to encourage you to stay strong. And even with being a prepper, I like to commend you. It's so many of you guys on here that have truly inspired me. If you don't mind, just give me a couple of minutes, if not some seconds, just to tell them how much I look up to you guys. I have women that comment on here, say such beautiful, encouraging things. I have you guys who tell me about situations and stories you're going through with your significant other, whether it be your husband or your child, how you feel about that. I look up to you. It's important to be strong as a woman. It's important to be able to tell how you feel. It's important to be strong for your children. It's important to be a prepper. I just did not realize how many women are preppers until here now lately my page started growing, because a lot of people that's been following me, they know that I've been on this internet for years. I've been putting out songs. I've been encouraging people on different platforms, and I never speak about these things. I have platforms that are huge, but I never speak about these things because I'm not that type of person. I try to be very humble and very realistic, because there's so many people who don't have anybody, who don't have things. And so as far as yesterday is concerned, I never talk about the things that I do for people. And my family say, well, you might end up regretting that, because people might say, oh, well, she doesn't do this and she doesn't do it. I really don't care about what people think. I do the right thing. I try to. I'm not a perfect person. I try to do the right thing. But being a prepper, you guys, all of us have different experiences. And I have to be the one to tell somebody, it's not about the preps you have. It's not about how much food you have. It's not about how many acres of land you have. It's not about, let me tell you, the best preppers to me are homeless people. They know how to survive in any condition and in any situation, and they don't have anything. So let's clarify. For a person to say, A person may not be truly a prepper because they don't show things. I don't think preppers should be based upon what you have. I think it's about what you know. So I'd like to encourage you guys, stay strong, stay vigilant. I know it's hard as a woman, especially if you're by yourself. Just being a prepper alone is challenging, it's difficult because we want to stay on top of things. If not so much having things, it's staying on top of what we need to know up here. That's a lot of stress. Packing things. You guys, I have hurt my body so much from packing stuff. We have nothing to prove to anybody. You only have something to prove to yourself. Stay strong. You can do it. You guys give me so much love. Paying attention to the weather, paying attention to things that are occurring in the world. The other day there was the earthquake that hit New Zealand, and I had a viewer. She said, "Well, I'm over here in an earthquake zone. Let me start, preparing and moving things." I thought that was so great because we just don't know when anything may strike us, and it will behoove us to just be aware and be vigilant and to be prepared. The reason why I say you cannot trust, I took some notes down. You can't trust the local leaders, sometimes the politicians and the meteorologists in the news, because I experienced in Harvey, I'm going to tell you the truth. In Harvey, it was a disaster. Hurricane Harvey was one of the worst hurricanes. It was the worst hurricane I've ever experienced in my life. This is because there was conflicting messages coming from politicians. The governor, which was Governor Abbott at the time in 2017, he was saying, if you're in Houston, I suggest you get out of Houston. He was telling us the right thing. Then we had our Mayor Turner at the time. He said, no, if you're in Houston, we're going to weigh it down. We have all the resources we need here, because I don't want a gridlock on a freeway with people trying to get out of the city. And he said that causes a lot of other problems. Nobody knew the severity of Hurricane Harvey. For the first time, I saw my neighbor, who was also a prepper. She basically mainly preps food. In Texas, you're going to find preppers everywhere because we have gone through so many natural disasters. And I looked at the expression on her face, and I was like, wow, this might be something. Because I was following the local news. At that time, I wasn't on to YouTube meteorologists like Weatherman Plus and David Sleinhauer. It wasn't until after that I started following the news the weather on YouTube, because I'm like, I can't be following the weather on the local news because they wait till the last minute, because I guess they're going from their superiors telling them, listen, we probably don't want people to panic, or we probably just don't want to inform people. I started doing that like that because I was paying attention to the news, but it was conflicting messages with the weatherman. They were saying, oh, we're going to get a lot of rain. Oh, it's not going to be that bad. I'm telling you guys, it was horrific. So when I saw the expression of my neighbor's face, and then my brother, he was actually my biological cousin, but he was like closer to me than a brother. He passed the year after that. May he rest in peace. But he called me and he said, you need to prepare yourself. He said, I think this is going to be really, really bad. But this was the night before it happened. And I was like, wow. There was no flights out of Houston. One thing I learned about Houston, when things happen, it's hard to get out, you guys. There was no flights. They had stopped like all forms of transportation, whether it was by Amtrak, whether it's by the bus. If you were in the car, there were certain roads that were already blocked. I'm telling you guys this for a reason. So I was like, okay, now we're stuck here. Because I'm listening to a local politician telling us to weigh it out in Houston, and now it's too late for me to get my family out of here. So when Hurricane Harvey hit, there was water everywhere. You really couldn't get out then. And if you didn't have food with you, if you didn't have water with you, it was the same thing as what we experienced with the Texas winter storm. The Texas winter storm was worse because of all the ice and all this here type of situation. It was so bad. And a lot of us were so upset because we listened to a local politician and we stayed in Houston. And for those who had families that were on oxygen, the lights were out for like a week. And those of us like myself had parents who were diabetic and Alzheimer's and all these types of things, and you depend on the medical system for them. You couldn't even go to the hospital. You couldn't get to the hospital, and a lot of the hospitals were shut down because there was so much flooding, there was so much water in the hospital. Then the lights were out. Even in the hospital, people with backup generators. Everything was discombobulated. So, you guys, we have to always follow the weather, look at the weather, still listen to your local weather, but I would also have alternative weather sources to listen to outside of your local news, because things are just happening. Weather events are just happening. Harvey was the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life as far as hurricanes. And this latest thing, this Texas winter storm, it was bad. So if you can get your family out of a disaster area before that disaster occur, do so. A lot of people had left Houston. A lot of people had left. They went to other cities and states, kind of like what, the Cruz family did, but they ended up doing it after the fact. But before Hurricane Harvey hit, a lot of people got their families out of harm's way, and they stayed out of the city for a couple of weeks. That's not the easiest thing for a lot of us to do, because we know it takes money to do these things. But if you have sick loved ones, I try to encourage you guys to save your money, especially if you have people who depend on you, small children, elderly parents, and even just yourself, and you don't want to be in that situation. Because I'm telling y'all, the cities be so nasty and filthy after these types of disasters. Oh, the cities be just disgusting. I remember for Hurricane Harvey, there were coffins of people, bodies. There were dead bodies floating all throughout the city because the water it was so much water. Even in the cemeteries, it brought up those coffins and those bodies, and it was disgusting. The water system was disgusting. The food was disgusting, just like the same situation that we're going through here now. The cities be nasty, and you don't really want to have yourself and your family exposed to germs and diseases and things of that nature. And another thing to be careful with, is also the stores and the food. We found stores that were selling outdated food. And that is so terrible, and that's disgusting. Even with restaurants, they were still serving the food that had gone bad, cooking that meat. So this is another thing to be careful about. And I'd just like to encourage you, it's a lot, but just try these days and times to pay more attention. If I had known that Texas winter storm was going to be as crucial as that, there's no way I would have had myself and my family here in Houston. And as I told you guys, I'm over these storms in Houston, and that's why I'm preparing to leave. And I think that's about it. I did take off one of the videos from yesterday. A lot of that stuff, I went to one of the my old storages. I have other storages and stuff at friends' house that were containers that I couldn't get to at that time. But I didn't want to show people how unorganized it was, most of all. And second of all, I don't have anything to prove to anybody. I don't have anything to prove to anybody. None of us do. Now, I explained why I don't like showing preps. I explained why I don't like showing what the things that I have. I just don't do that. I don't do that. If you guys don't believe, if anybody would not believe that I have been able to survive a lot of these natural disasters and that I do what I say I do, that's fine. I'm not about to show and tell no more. I just don't have time for that. and it hurts my body so much. God bless me with a prepping man, then that'll be something different. But it was something else I wanted to touch bases with you on. Now I will show the property. I will show one of my properties because I always like to encourage people, if you can, get land. I think land is just so important, you guys, especially these days and times. Having a property where you can grow vegetables and you can raise your own animals and things of this nature, and you can have your own homestead, something that's yours, something that you work towards in gaining your independence. I think that's to me that's like one of the most important things, um, if as far as being a purpose is concerned, besides having the knowledge. Like I said, it's not about our stuff, it's about what we know and how, and our willingness to survive. And also, I think it's important to have land, especially if you have children, something to pass on to your children. All right, you guys, if you like the content, give me a thumbs up, please. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I do have prepping supplies at zanharrold.com. I tell you in every video, you do not have to get it from me, but just make sure that you go out and get it. And till next time, you keep on surviving. Take care.